Hi everyone. So we recently had the Metropolitan Police admitting that they have mishandled the pro-Palestinian marches. That's whilst the BBC also admitted that they also covered the conflict in a very biased way, making Israel look like the militaristic one and also the aggressive one. But let's not forget that Israel is a democracy and is defending itself. I've been to the pro Palestinian marches and I saw so much anti Semitism and people burning flags and asking for the demolition of Israel and that every Jew is a Zionist. And I always said, why is the BBC not covering this? Why is the BBC trying to pretend that all these pro Palestinian marches are so peaceful when there are people burning flags and literally calling for the genocide of Jews and the dismantling of Israel as a state? And it's ironic because I have a friend of mine that holds a sign that says Hamas are terrorists. And he was the one that was always arrested by the Metropolitan Police. And he was attacked by the pro Palestinian protesters. Instead of arresting the pro Palestinian protesters, they arrested my friend, Niak Qorbani. And I have a picture with him as well, which you will see on the screen now. Okay? So he was well within his rights to hold that sign that said Hamas are terrorists, which is actually the government line because Hamas are recognized as a terrorist organization, right? And then he had to go to courts, and then luckily he won that court battle because the court realized that he was well within his rights of freedom of speech and freedom of expression to hold that sign. It was the pro-Palestinian protesters that were not supposed to attack him. Yeah, he wasn't doing anything wrong. And also, the BBC has been extremely biased in their journalism and how they portray this conflict because Israel is actually a democracy. Israel is the one that is defending itself against a radical Islamist ideology, right? I'm not saying everything Israel does is right. However, when you're dealing with countries like Iran, with terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis that want your destruction, self defense is a must. Okay, I know that 40,000 Palestinians have died now. More than 20,000 of them were Hamas terrorists, and also 20,000 innocent civilians. But I always said this is Hamas and Iran and groups such as the Hezbollah that are sacrificing their own people. I encourage everyone to go and listen to this guy called Mossab Hassan Youssef. He is the son of Hamas. He was the son of one of the founders of Hamas that actually ended up working for the Mossad to kill Hamas terrorists. And he always said this: Israel is just an excuse. If they didn't have Israel as a common enemy, they would be killing each other. Because Iran is a Sunni state, sorry, it's a Shiite state, whereas Hamas is a Sunni organization, and they had the bloodiest history of all. Okay? So, and unfortunately, in the West, people are so easily manipulated and they're so easily brainwashed, and you know, they don't see the truth. They don't see that actually Israel is the front line of fighting this Islamic ideology, and they are the front line of democracy. What's happening in Israel now will very soon happen in Europe and in America if we don't stop it in Israel, right? And unfortunately, the Middle East fell when Iran fell because Iran is behind all of this. Their tentacles, such as Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, they are the ones that try to dismantle the West, and they are the ones that are trying to get rid of Israel. Okay, so if we want peace in the Middle East, we need to get rid of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And unfortunately, the woke BBC was so biased and so uninformed in their coverage that actually millions of people thought that Israel are the bad guys. When they are not, they are actually defending themselves. As I said again, Israel offered Arafat a state in which they had control over Gaza, they had control over the West Bank, and they had control over East Jerusalem. They said no every single time. And then Hamas took over, and they've been shooting rockets ever since. You know, and if Israel didn't have the Iron Dome, Israel would be rubble right now. They have the Iron Dome, so they intercept the rockets in the air, and then they go and shoot back at the place where the rockets came from, which is usually a apartment building or a hospital or a nursing school. And people say, oh, why is Israel shooting all these buildings? Well, that's because the rockets are coming from there. They have every right to neutralize that threat, right? And as I said, the BBC and the Metropolitan Police were extremely biased in their how they treated this situation. And that leads me to my next argument of two-tier policing and two-tier journalism in this country, where unfortunately, the woke left and the Islamists have took over to the point that the BBC has to pander to the Islamists and the woke, and same with the Metropolitan Police. And I don't think that's right at all. We need fair journalism and we need fair policing in this country. And I hope after this report that happens very soon. Thank you for watching.
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.